What's up, Dragon Brood? So today you're gonna get this weird camera angle one more time as we're talking about some Commander cards. And I'm leaving the camera view because later today I'm gonna be playing Commander in Command Fest 3, or Command Fest Online 3, I believe is the official title, over on Channel Fireball's Twitch channel at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time if you want to come check it out. But I have my cameras already set up for that, so you kind of get emergency camera mode. But I wanted to talk about some cards I'm going to be adding to my Rith deck from Commander Legends, because, you know, Commander Legends is sweet, so why not add some of those cards? So before we do that, you'll know what I like to do. I like to ask everybody, if you haven't, please like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and then leave me a comment and let me know if you want more Commander content or not. And if you find this type of stuff interesting. If so, maybe I'll whip some more up for you. But anyway, let's get into some cards. Now this first one seems like an obvious one, but I'm going to start with Arcane Cygnet. Now, I know, you're looking at it saying like, why wasn't this already in your command deck? Well, the funny thing is, the reason it wasn't in my Commander deck is the only things I own that had it were actually sealed Commander decks, the retail products. So I never really opened them, I just have them sealed, and I never actually owned an Arcane Cygnet. And honestly, when I'm playing a character like Rith, like this card costs 6, it's gonna cost 8, then cost 10. Like, you need a bunch of mana rocks to be able to get your stuff out. And the way I have the deck built, I'm playing so many big creatures, I really need to be able to produce extra mana. So that's kind of what I started looking at in Commander Legends, is just what things can I play that add mana that I wasn't already playing that makes sense to include in the deck. And I think I found quite a few things, and that started with Arcane Cygnet. Obviously it's a good card, and truthfully this should be in just about all the Commander decks you play anyway. So this was a little bit of a cop-out, but I gotta be honest, I'm including it, so I figured I would talk about it. The next card I want to talk about is Galvandra, Caller of Wirewood. Now this card's actually pretty cool, that it's only 3 mana, it's a 1/2, so it's not real big, but it does tap to make mana. And then if you use it to cast a creature that's 6 or bigger, then you get a card. And I love that for this deck. Like, it's an extra way to get cards because I'm playing a bunch of creatures, I'm not playing a bunch of spells, so I have to have multiple ways to draw cards, and I'm already using some other creatures that, you know, when a certain creature comes into play or not, you get to draw a card. But this is cool because it's just if I use it to cast a creature, not if the creature enters the battlefield. And it's cheap enough that I can get it out early. Like if I turn 2, or well, let's say turn 1 Soul Ring, but that doesn't happen all that often. But turn 2 Mana Rock, turn 3 this, and maybe another Mana Rock, which is kind of cool. I mean, there's some things you can do that really make this worthwhile. So I'm really excited to have this card in the deck, and being able to load cards into my hand early, that helps a bunch too. I don't have to wait till later in the game where I already have a 4 or 5 mana thing, and then have to get another creature into play to be able to draw the card. Like, this is actually really cool to include. This is a really sweet card, and it's an uncommon, which you're going to see is a very popular theme here. These are budget cards you can add to some of your bigger creature decks. The next card on my list is Hilana, Cygnet. This card's a 3/4 for 4, which if you notice, now that I'm thinking about it, I actually went 2, 3, 4 in casting cost. That's kind of funny. But the other thing is this card has reach, which that seems kind of irrelevant in the grand scheme of things in Commander, but there's random times you do actually need stuff with reach to be able to block flyers. Especially if somebody has a commander that flies or any of that other stuff, or in my case I'm playing Rith, it's a dragon. Like, sometimes you just need to be able to chump block something, and that's awesome. What I really like about Hilana though, is it basically gives each of my creatures the equivalent of something that says kicker 2 when it comes into play, fight something else. And I love that. And it's not even a fight, I think it's just a bite, which is even better. The thing is though, it does add extra mana, which is why we have to play these other cards that are also producing mana. That's very important, right? You have to be able to generate the mana if you're going to add cards like this, so you can take advantage of their abilities. But only being 4 mana means you can play it fairly early. It's a 3/4 body, so that's nothing to turn your nose up at. It does have reach, and it allows every creature you play to be able to kill something. That is awesome. And what I like about that is, even your smaller creatures that maybe aren't hitting the notes you want in certain spots of the game late, can still come in and if nothing else be sacrificial lambs to take out those 2 or 3 toughness kind of utility creatures that your opponents may be playing. I love that. Like, so these are cards that you get to add, and again, it's another uncommon that's just going to do a lot of work throughout the course of the game. And I'm assuming there's some type of lore where these are like sisters or cousins or something. that are related because it's a 3/4 and a 4/3, and one costs 4 and one costs 5. One has reach, one has first strike. So I'm like, yeah, just they both do something when creatures come into play. So I don't know, y'all hit me up in the comments and let me know if there's some type of backstory to these characters. Because I'm not always good with the canon and lore around these different types of things. But I think it is really cool to have two cards that kind of share that type of symmetry. But anyway, this card's really cool. I don't really care that much that it has first strike, though that isn't irrelevant. It does come into play sometimes, especially if you have things that can pump your creatures. I do play some stuff that like gives green creatures +1/+1 or red creatures +1/+1. So, and then having first strike does really matter. So I won't turn my nose up at that, but I'm really playing it for the mana ability. So when you have something come into play, you can tap it, gain mana equal to the largest power among creatures that came into play that turn. This is really big because especially, even though it's giving you red, I have a lot of things that can use colorless mana. So it's possible I could put a 4 or 5 power thing into play. I can tap Hilana, then get another 4 or 5 mana, use that to play something else. Or I can use it in conjunction with Hilana, where I play a creature, then you can tap Hilana, get, say, 4 mana, then use 2 of it to fight something, which is also very cool. So there's a lot of different little tricky things we could do between these two cards, and they fit perfectly into these big creature type decks. So if you have a similar deck, a lot of times people are building around Mael, and that's a similar theme, trying to play things that are large. These are the types of cards that could really help that out a lot. So again, it's an uncommon that may have gone overlooked, but I think it's worth time of evaluating. Now the last card I'm choosing to include, well, this one's not really a budget card, but I couldn't help myself. Apex Devastator. It's a 10 mana that's 8 green for a 10/10, and it has Cascade not once, not twice, not 3 times, but a whopping 4 times it cascades. And that's huge in this type of deck. Now granted, it's possible you hit some mana rocks. You know, that's worth the gamble. You get 4 shots. It's going to be rare that your big creature deck doesn't hit at least 1 or 2 other big fatties and gets them on the table. So being able to pay this mana and hit with 1 or 2 cards right behind it, like that could really set up a turn where your opponents are kind of put on notice and have to deal with it right then. And again, when we're coming back and looking at cards like Hilana, it's like you can put this into play, get a 10/10, get whatever you get from Cascade, and possibly still play something behind it. So all of these cards really do kind of work together. I think that's the thing here. If you look at all of them across the board, they all are helping each other, which is a very big deal. And that's what I liked about the stuff that came out of Commander Legends. It was giving me more things that just have synergy between them. And really, except for Apex Devastator, these are largely budget choices. So you're going to be able to pick these cards up for anywhere from probably 25 cents to maybe $1. Like, these are the type of cards you can look for, really give some nice upgrades to your deck out of the set without having to break the bank, especially right now while they're cheaper. Now, a year from now, these may be $2 or $3 uncommons, who knows? But if you need some budget options, take a look at these cards. I think they're pretty good. And if you haven't, just as a reminder, please remember to like this video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And if you want to follow me over on Twitter, on Twitch, and come see my streams, check out my sponsors, or even get some merchandise to support me in the channel. Or, if nothing else, just come hang out with us in our Discord and just show your deck off. You can find links for all of that in the description down below. But that's all I have for you for now. I'm going to go get ready to play some Commander. Let me know in the comments if you want more Commander content, and I will see you next time.